you have. So for those of you I haven't met, I know I've met a few of you. I'm Daniel Carswell. I've been with the PD for about 15 years now. Prior to being our police chief, I was the patrol operations lieutenant. So I supervised all of the officers, all of our training, and all of our internal affairs investigations. Prior to doing that, I spent about 6 years as a road sergeant. So just answering calls and supervising the officers on duty every day. And I also was the supervisor of our field training program, training all of our new hires. So that's a little bit about what I did before I was chief. I began serving as the chief of police on November 9th of 2020. That was after Robert Hardwick took over as the sheriff of St. Johns County. I worked with Rob Hardwick for all 8 years that he was here. And I like to think that I patterned my style of leadership after him. I worked really closely with Chief Hardwick, and he taught me a lot about leading from the front, setting the example, hard work. And I think our agency reflects that, and it's going to continue to reflect that. So if you didn't know, our agency is fully accredited. That was a big step that we took in about the past 6 years of our agency. We were recently reaccredited with 100% compliance on February 18th of this year. So we were 100% in compliance with all of the state's standards through accreditation. And we're accredited through the Commission for Florida Law Enforcement, CFA. If you're unfamiliar with accreditation, basically it's a state body that guidelines how we operate as a police department, and it sets standards that we have to meet with our training and with our policies and with the orientation, our transparency. They do assessments each year on our entire agency, so that there's nothing that can be hid, and everything that we do is up to a state standard. So having that accreditation is a real asset to the agency, and it lets the public know what we're doing and that we're doing everything up to the highest standard possible. We also have educational requirements here at the PD. You have to have at minimum an associate's degree, and we look to hire bachelor's degrees. We're at about 75% of our agency has bachelor's degrees or higher. We have a few with master's degrees. Use of force and policy reviews that we have. Anytime there's a use of force incident, anytime there's a pursuit, anytime that we have an agency crash, it goes before a review board, and that's done monthly. So anytime an officer is doing something where the public can be harmed or they can be harmed, it's reviewed by myself, the commander, and the other 4 supervisors. And if there's something that's not done properly within policy, it's addressed immediately. We have yearly physical abilities tests that they have to pass. Everybody's got to be in proper physical shape to work here. And we've also recently incorporated over the past 2 years swim tests, because what I'll get into a little bit later is we're seeing a lot more activity on the beach, and we're going in the water a lot more. So we need our officers to be able to get out in the water and be able to just basically basic swimming. We're not trying to teach them to be lifeguards or Baywatch or anything, but to be able to help themselves and help others. We also do random drug tests 4 times a year here. So every quarter, when we do our evaluations and things like that, we have a randomizer app on one of the phones, and it picks 5 random police officers, actually 4 random police officers and 1 non-sworn administrative staff, and they go get a drug test that day. That's not part of accreditation or anything like that. That's just something that we've implemented. Once again, just transparency and just setting those high standards. We do this on our own 4 times a year. We also do 6 additional department trainings. State mandates that we train with firearms and high liabilities once every 2 years. Well, that's not enough, just to shoot your firearm and do that high liability training every 2 years. So we do it 6 times a year instead of once every 2 years. So every other month we do some sort of firearms training or driving training or response to resistance. Now we're doing a lot of de-escalation training, crisis intervention training, working with mental disabilities or the mentally challenged or PTSD, autism, things like that. Training that because it's been in the limelight a lot recently. So we want our officers up to speed on all that. So currently our department has 20 people. We're short 1. Commander Ashlock is now at the Pentagon. So he's still on military leave. He could be gone for up to 5 years. So full staff, we're at 21 officers, but right now we're working with 20. We also have 3 administrative staff. We have an administrative manager and then 2 administrative assistants. Within that 20, we have myself and the commander, and we also have a patrol lieutenant who oversees the patrol operations, and then the administrative manager that I talked about who oversees the administrative side, and our 7 volunteers that we have. While I'm on that subject, our 7 volunteers are in here constantly. We have 2 in here right now, and they do everything from answer the phone to help out with breaks to working with our beach blast off and our Veterans Day and National Night Out. We truly get a lot of help from our volunteers, and we couldn't do a lot of things we do here without them. We have 4 patrol sergeants. There's 1 sergeant for each shift, 2 shifts per day, so they rotate. And then we have obviously 2 beach patrol officers right now, and then our K9 and a detective right now, and a crime prevention officer. So that's just a little bit about the agency. We're a small agency, and I like that. We can be very selective on who we hire. The larger agencies have to hire 25, 30 people at a time. We're normally looking for 1, maybe 2 at a time. So we can be more selective and hire people that fit our agency and that fit our community and our style of policing. So that's a big benefit to us. We have a very strict FTO program here. That's our field training program. So whenever you're hired on, you start in what's called FTO, field training, and you spend 4 months with a training officer, and you're graded each day on your activity. And right now we have about a 60 to 70% pass ratio, which is a little bit stricter than the normal, because if you're not meeting our standards and you're not what we're looking for at this agency, we're not going to waste your time and keep you around. We're going to cut ties then, and we're going to move on to somebody who fits our agency and who's up to standard. So that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on. It's not overly strict, and it's not being harsh. It's just that, we have a high standard here, and we want to keep that. We're not going to let anything slide. So we do a lot of community orientation, a lot of community interaction. We have what's called a checks program. That's cops helping elderly keep safe. And what we do is, this is again with our volunteers, is our volunteers have a list of elderly in our community that maybe need a little bit more assistance. Maybe it's just them by themselves at home, and they call them once a week and just see what their needs are, what they can do to help them. They're not going over there and helping them unless it's an emergency. Obviously, we go and help, but they're just referring them to services. We have WAVE, which is Women Against Violent Encounters, and that's some of our defensive tactics instructors and our female officers, and they do training for females in the area. It's not just local; we do all over St. Johns County, and it's just basic self-defense classes that they put on, and we do about 15 of those a year. And then the last thing that we've done is slowed down a little bit recently because of COVID and everything, but we work with the COA on lawn mowing. Our officers volunteer on Wednesdays, and they'll come in, and again, they'll mow lawns for elderly citizens here that just can't get out and do that anymore. So if they get on our list, we'll come out and mow their lawn on Wednesdays if we can get enough volunteers to come in and do it. So some of our goals that we've had since Hardwick's left, we were blessed that Chief Hardwick left us with a great agency here. We're really fortunate. We're just looking to build upon and improve upon what we've been left. We don't want to stay stagnant. We have a great staff here. We have a great fleet, all the best equipment, and we're just looking to improve upon that base that he gave us. Some of the things that we're focused on doing over the next 6 months is we're filling some vacancies. With Chief Hardwick leaving, or now Sheriff Hardwick, we did have a few officers that left with him, and a few of them in crucial spots, which we've been filling over the past 6 months. And we still have 2 spots left that we're filling. We're completing a policy review. So with a new administration taking over the agency, new command staff, new administrative staff, we're going to do a complete policy review. And that's going to be in coordination with our accreditation assessor to make sure that everything's up to speed, all the policies are where we want them, and that they're meeting that standard. Something that myself and the new Commander Travis Harrell, who's come over with us, we've set aside a day each week to go meet with our community. We're meeting with businesses, we're meeting with residents, we're walking neighborhoods, and we're getting out and seeing what they want. What do they want from us? What are we doing that they don't like? What can we do that they want to see that we're not doing? Right now, we're also working with beach services. So we're working on beach services reimbursing us some of the money for our officers that we put on beach patrol permanently. So, those beach patrol officers are certified through the county as conservation zone deputies with the county. So with us taking over more of the beach, as opposed to, a few years back, we had one officer working part-time and the county worked a lot of our area. Well, now we have 2 full-time beach patrol officers. So some of that money should be coming back to us now to help reimburse us for that. So that's something we're working on. And then the last thing I've been working on with some of the commissioners is lighting on A1A Beach Boulevard. Some of the lighting on Beach Boulevard, especially by the pier and then that bend there north of Pope Road, is really poor. And we're looking on getting some better lighting in there. We're working with DOT on that, and also, like I said, with some of the commissioners. So some of the changes that we're looking to implement is we're looking at the body cameras right now. It's something that we've been researching for about a year. It's very time consuming with the budget and the policy creation for it and everything. Everything that we're working with Axon, who's the maker of the body cameras. It's pretty time consuming. All the quotes we've seen, it's going to be pretty expensive. It's going to run the city about $50,000 a year to keep the program afloat. It's very labor intensive with the redaction, the public records requests, the training on it. We've been working with the city PD downtown. They already have body cams up and running. And the work that they're doing, just some of the things that we weren't even thinking about, that's causing them a lot of labor problems right now. It's just things that we're looking at on viability for body cameras. And then lastly, with the body cams is the need, with the research for the body cams, everything that they look to negate is use of force complaints and officer rudeness complaints. Well, we're very low with both of those. We average about 15 to 20 total use of force incidents a year. We've had maybe 2 or 3 complaints in the past 5 to 10 years I've been here that I can recall on use of force. And then with the rudeness complaints, we get a handful of those a year. We get about 15 to 20 also total complaints a year. So is $50,000 a year, is that something that we need to invest for a minimal problem? So that's, again, something we're looking at, but we're going to continue to work on that. And we're going to continue to see how the budget works out with those body cameras as well. And then again, with the changes upcoming, is just staying ahead of the curve with our staffing. We've had to replace a commander, myself, the chief. We've had to replace our administrative manager, a detective, and 2 officers in the past 6 months. And with the calls for service and the business that we're seeing now, it's only going to increase. So 2013, when Chief Hardwick started here, we were averaging about 8,000 calls a year for service. We're on pace right now for over 14,000. So business is just continuing to grow. So as that grows, we're going to need to continue to look at, plussing up on manpower. So with that, I'll take, I know we had some questions here. So whatever you guys have for me, feel free to go ahead.
Well, first of all, Chief, thanks for all that information. We know how hard you work and your people. We're very, very appreciative of, I think all of us can agree that we live in a great place and we feel very, very good about the law enforcement in our community. One of the things that was brought up relates to the increased number of calls of service from one of our members who submitted a question. They wanted to know, can you use some more people? And it sounds to me with a huge increase in calls, instead of body cams, would we be better off with 4 more officers?
So that's something we've looked at. So we have increased over the years since 2013 when those calls were at 8,000 and now they're at 14,000. We have increased over the years with about 3 officers, maybe 4. So are we stretched right now? Are we struggling? No, I think right now we're handling things with the level that we're at. But like I said, I do feel that in the future, we will need to plus up. And one of the areas that I'm particularly concerned about is the beach, actually on the sand. So right now, our beach patrol officers are averaging over 300 calls for service, just them every month. In the past, we were in the low 3,000s total for the year on the beach. We're going to be well over 4,000 this year. Last year, people didn't get to get out to the beach as much. We were shut down this time last year. So just with our spring break we saw this year, I can already tell you what type of summer it's going to be. I mean, people are out. So on our two beach gates, OTR and A Street, last year in a slow year, we issued over 35,000 beach passes. So in a slow year, that tells you 35,000 beach passes. That's a lot just at our two gates. So again, that's one of the reasons I'm working with St. Johns County on getting some reimbursement on that. That's over $500,000, close to close to $750,000 in revenue right there at our two beach gates. So we're looking at having them fully fund our two beach patrol officers throughout the beach season, which would be about $100,000. Right now, they're giving us $50,000. So also along the boulevard on A1A South, some of the stats I pulled from a presentation I did not too long ago. About 10 years ago, we were just over 20,000 cars per day going up and down A1A South. There's a DOT meter right there just south of the PD on A1A South between 16th and 11th Street. We were just over 20,000 cars per day. We were at 24,500. No, I'm sorry, 30,000 last year. I apologize. So 30,000 last year in a slow year. And then about 36,000 on a busy holiday weekend, like 4th of July, Memorial Day, things like that. So it's the amount of traffic that our guys are seeing. It's not just 7,000 people on this island that we're seeing every day. It's a large amount of people. So are we stretched now? No, but I can definitely see us, 5 to 10 years from now with, 3 to 5 more officers easily.
Well, I'll skip over question 2 because your comment about traffic and car counts probably relates better to question number 3, which was, will we see a day where there is a St. Augustine Beach Police Department traffic unit who's just working speeders and that sort of thing?
So that's something we've talked about for a few years now. What we try and do is take officers like our detectives and our canines and our beach patrol officers who aren't assigned to the road, and assign them on days to strictly traffic. If we hire an officer and we assign them strictly to traffic, that's all they can do. That's taking from the road, or it's adding to our budget for just traffic. When we have officers that can fill in as needed. We're very big on our guys being present and being out on the boulevard and being out on A1A and being in the neighborhoods as well. A lot of our traffic complaints are within neighborhoods, not along A1A South or Beach Boulevard. It's people speeding in the neighborhoods. So what we can do is we set up those speed trailers, which I'm sure you guys have seen them out and about, or we assign officers to what's called directed patrols, and they're assigned by their supervisor. Hey, from 3 to 5, you go to this street or to this neighborhood, and that's all you do. You don't answer calls. You work traffic in that area. So there's ways we can get around it without assigning just a full-time traffic unit. But I won't say never, but for the foreseeable future, I think we're doing well with, we take the complaints or the suggestions that our citizens give us, and we try and focus that with the resources we have without adding to our budget.
And before I turn the other guys loose with any questions or follow-ups, there was one other question that was raised by a couple of people, and that was beach blast off. Some people love it, some people don't like it, and there's some talk of just doing fireworks without all the extra stuff this year. And personally, my observation is the big draw is the fireworks. So if they're looking to decrease cars and the strain on public safety employees, that sort of thing, fireworks seems to be the big draw. I'm not sure how much smaller the event's going to get if we just eliminate the live band and how does all this impact you and kind of your outlook on the holidays?
So beach blast off, that was, as a patrol lieutenant, that was my job for the past 3 years, was to coordinate and organize beach blast off. It's a lot. It puts a lot of stress on our little city here, and it puts a lot of stress on the county as a whole. It's not just our 20 officers out there. It's over 100 total officers. It's about 70 from the county, including SWAT team, bomb guys, canines, traffic units, motor units, their mobile commands, FHP, the city PD on their bikes. It's a huge task. And like I said, it puts a big stress on us. Myself and Max Royal made a presentation to the commission this past meeting at their request about beach blast off. And my two main concerns as a police chief, and this is strictly law enforcement, are two things. Is one, I think it's outgrown our city at its current size and at its current capacity. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, it was a nice event and people walked down A1A Beach to it and enjoy themselves. It's grown far past that. So with the traffic, both vehicle and pedestrian that I've seen the past 2 years, it's just not safe. And I have big concerns. And when Hardwick was here the past 2 years, we voiced those concerns about the safety with all those people in there and the traffic. That our city just doesn't have the infrastructure to get that many vehicles to one spot. The past 2 years, I've seen it. As the fireworks are going off, there's still traffic lined down 16th Street, down Pope Road, down A1A Beach, still trying to get to the event, and the fireworks are going off. So I just don't feel we have the infrastructure to support the event in its current state. Then the second is, what do the citizens want? There's not a big voice that I hear right now from the citizens. Do they love it? Do they want us to keep doing it? Because I'm here to serve the community. If the citizens want it, I'll find a way to make it happen. And so I know the commission will. I know Max Royal will. But if they don't want it, that's something we need to hear. If they don't like their Beach Boulevard being shut down for 4 hours, if they don't like all these people coming into the city, that's something we need to hear.
Fair enough. Guys, if one of you wants to raise your hand and follow up with the chief, I'll unmute you and turn you loose. Anybody?
Go ahead.
Carrie? All right. I think you need to unmute yourself, Carrie, if I haven't done so already.
Okay,
Gotcha.
Thank you, Chief, for your presentation. Appreciate all the information.
No problem.
And the good work that you and all of your staff, all your agency do. I find all the people that I have encountered been friendly, nice, kind, courteous. I can't say enough good.
Thank you. Thank you.
About that, and I appreciate it greatly. Just a couple of things. One, I guess would say I like the beach blast off. I favor doing it and having the music and all. I mean, I like gatherings like that. I think they're good. I know there's a lot of work with it and a lot of cost and so on, but it's if nothing else, it's an opportunity for us to get together with family and friends and neighbors and do something, and trying to do it right and safely. I'm all for that as well. I do, a couple of things that I do have concerns about. At one is we just have a huge number of extremely loud vehicles around this town. And is there noise about vehicles?
Yes, sir. So that's something that's become a pet peeve of one of my supervisors. It's funny you mentioned that. During spring break, we did what's called, it was a special op that they did, and they strictly focused on that for 2 full days on a weekend. You're not allowed to alter your muffler, in the state of Florida, to make it have excessive noise like that. And we also do have a noise ordinance violation. When it becomes so many decibels loud, it can be a different fine. But we looked at it through the state statute, and we assigned those officers, like I said, for 2 days. And that's all they did was educate and enforce on those loud mufflers. Mostly it's not our community.
Right, it's not.
It's traveling from other communities here. Right. So it's hard to keep that education constant. But that's something our beach patrol guys are focusing on a lot this year, are the loud mufflers up and down the boulevard. But yeah, I share your pain with that.
Yeah, and even on the beach, loud on there, just really everywhere. Downtown St. Augustine, same thing. Yep. The other thing is the crosswalk over on A1A Beach Boulevard, where Santander enters there. You know, you can go and press the button and the lights flash. I'm a bicycler. I bicycle everywhere, as these guys know. And it's not occasionally, it's every time I'm in that crosswalk, people do not obey it.
Yes, sir.
And I have actually had to shove someone off the road so they didn't get hit.
Yes, sir.
And that is constantly being disregarded right there. And because you got kind of, some people are starting to make the right to go A1A, then the 2 straightway. And it's really a bad setup, you know, the way it's designed anyway. And again, another nighttime lighting on both ends of Santander there.
Yeah.
Not good.
So that crosswalk, I believe, is the counties. It's either the counties or the cities, but that's north of Pope. So that's not us. But Commissioner Dylan Rumwell, is working right now on redoing all of our crosswalks with the light up signs and better. I think we've gone past where the flags helped out for a while, but I think they're kind of losing their luster a little bit, or people aren't using them enough because we're getting a lot of crosswalk complaints recently. So I know Commissioner Rumwell's working a lot, and he's working pretty hard with DOT and some funding to get those signs like the city has, to where you press the sign and it starts flashing, and it's very obvious as to what's going on. So hopefully it's something that can be addressed pretty soon.
Thank you.
Rich, you got anything for us? Mr. Gallick, are you there?
He's still muted.
There you are.
There we go. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate what you do. I do miss the coffee with the cop. Are we going to see that again?
We did one a few months ago, and the public response to it with COVID was not very good. So we held off for the past few months on those, but hopefully pretty soon, yes, sir. We enjoy those too. So hopefully over the next month or two, we'll have another one pop up.
Yeah, and love that our police dog has been with us now for how long?
What, 4, 5, 6 years now? He's going on 7 now. So been with the agency about 6 years. So
Wow.
Yep, he's great. It's Corporal Klein, Bruce Klein, who has our K9 Kilo, and that poor guy, you know, he walks in the door and nobody says hi to him. It's just Kilo, how you doing, Kilo? Nobody says hi to Bruce anymore. So he has become non-existent since he got that dog.
Yeah, I remember when Chief talked about doing this and a little bit of opposition or what have you, but just a great move for the city, right?
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And Mr. Samuels, do you have anything that you would like to ask about?
You're still muted.
Yeah, still muted, Bob.
Oh,
there you are.
Calls for service have increased considerably.
Yes, sir.
But I was wondering, what were the top few calls for service that, you know, of 30,000 a year, you know, just what are people calling about?
Well, it kind of goes in spurts. Obviously, during the summer, you know, we get more break-ins to the cars because there's more people parking out here. You know, on nights we're getting, you know, especially during the summer, we're getting a lot more, you know, disorderly intoxication and fights and things like that. Sadly, you know, in the winter months and during the holidays, we get more deaths and more suicides. You know, so it kind of comes in spurts, but overall, it's just a general increase in everything we're doing. You know, we're seeing more thefts from the stores because we're getting more visitors. We're seeing more, you know, speeding complaints or reckless driver complaints because we have more traffic. Something I didn't hit on with the beach patrol is some of those calls our guys are responding to, things we haven't done in the past few years, is our guys are actually going in the water now. We responded to drowning swimmers 20 times last year. And then I think it was 14 the year before. So they're going in the water more now. So everything's just kind of increasing, yeah, but it depends on what type of the year it is and the seasons and things like that, or where our calls focus.